Today I'm going to show you how to clean your Blackstone griddle after you're finished cooking on it. I'm also going to show you how to do a little deeper clean to get off some of the caked on, uneven layers of seasoning that will eventually build up over time. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll know everything you need to keep your Blackstone looking great for many years to come. First, let's just talk about doing a simple cleaning after you're done cooking. This is incredibly easy to do, especially if you properly seasoned your griddle when you first got it. If you haven't watched the seasoning video we made, make sure to watch that before doing anything else. A properly seasoned griddle top makes cooking on it and cleaning it 100 times easier. I'll put a link to that video up here as well as down in the description below. The best time to clean your Blackstone is right after you're finished cooking on it while it's still hot. First thing you want to do is get a scraper like this one. Make sure you have a dedicated scraper for cleaning. Don't just use your spatula. You'll ruin your spatula and it just doesn't work as well anyways. You're just going to give it a little bit of pressure and scrape everything from the front towards the back grease catch. I had just moved the griddle this day for another video we were making and you can see it wasn't really level anymore, so a lot of the cooking oil ended up draining towards the back edge. You can just take your scraper and kind of run the oil towards the center to get it out of the corners and edges if you find that you've got the same thing going on. Then take a folded up paper towel with some tongs, or just hold it if you've got a good pair of barbecue gloves, and wipe up any other bits of food and oil. I usually try to really get in the corners too to clean out any food and gunk that might still be stuck in there. If the griddle's well seasoned, most of the time all you ever need to do is these two steps. We had just made some cheeseburgers and grilled onions, and you can see I got pretty much everything off just by doing this. I'm adding a little maple syrup directly to the hot griddle here to simulate if you were cooking something more sugary that would caramelize, or I guess carbonize, and that you would expect to stick on more. Wow, that's kind of looking like an alien life form there. Gross. But you can see the nice thing about the Blackstone is when it's seasoned, even a sugary syrup that would be a nightmare sticking on a stainless steel pan comes right off with the scraper on the griddle top. If it doesn't come off as easily as this, just use a little bit of water to help steam it off. Easy. Once everything's scraped and wiped off, add another little thin layer of oil. Again, I wish my Blackstone was a little more level when I did this, but it doesn't matter. Just spread it out with the paper towel nice and thin. Let it smoke off for a few minutes, and then you can turn the griddle off and let it cool down. I also like to cover my Blackstone with one of these silicone covers because it provides full surface contact to the griddle top and helps keep out the air and moisture that can cause rust. I like this one especially because it goes completely around the edge of the griddle and stays in place nicely. I'll put a link to it down in the description if you want to check it out. Then the hard cover goes on top of that, and the soft cover on top of that, and your griddle's clean, protected, and ready to use the next time you cook. If you don't have time to do this right when you're done cooking, that's fine. You can turn the griddle off, and then when you are ready, come back to it, turn it on, let it get nice and hot again, and then follow everything we just did. Now, even if you do all this perfectly every time you cook, over time, the surface of your griddle is not going to look as pretty as the day you first seasoned it. You'll find it will start to look more uneven in both color and texture. This is because some areas get hotter than others, some areas always get cooked on more than others, and some areas get more seasoning buildup than others. You may start to see areas where it looks like the Blackstone is flaking. Don't worry, this is pretty common. It does not mean that the steel from the Blackstone itself is flaking or falling apart by any means. Remember, the original brand new steel Blackstone was gray, not black. So those little bits of black flakes you're seeing are little bits of seasoning that never quite bonded that are now coming off. If you try scraping these areas, you may also see streaks of orange color. It's not rust. Again, it's just oil that has not fully bonded. So if you see this happening on your Blackstone, does it mean you have to deal with it right away? No, don't worry. But eventually you may want to do a deeper clean to even out that seasoning, get it a little smoother, and get it looking a little more like new again. Clean it just like we did before with the heat on. This will help get all the surface gunk off and help loosen up those over-seasoned areas. Then take your scraper and work it a little more aggressively this time over the top of the griddle, trying to get some of those flaky areas broken up. Then turn it off, let it cool down, and I'm going to drizzle on some oil. We're going to use one of these cleaning bricks that you'll find in most of the cleaning or restoration kits they sell. I'll put a link to it down below too. It works like a pumice stone or sandpaper along with the oil to help sand down those over-seasoned areas. You're going to work it in a circular motion in the middle and then back and forth along the edges. You don't have to go overboard with this thing unless you're really trying to strip it down all the way. All we're trying to do is take off those uneven layers that never really bonded. So about 5 to 7 minutes working on the griddle top should be plenty. Next, you'll wipe up the oil, which will be jet black now because it's full of all that seasoning we just sanded out. After wiping that up, drizzle a little more oil on, use that to wipe up more of the sanded out seasoning, and repeat 1 or 2 more times until the oil starts to look more clean. This means you've now wiped up most of the seasoning we sanded off. Now we're going to turn the heat back on and let it get nice and hot. Let whatever remaining oils on the cooktop really smoke off, and then we'll use a little of our Blackstone griddle seasoning and conditioner to put on a new hard layer of seasoning. Since we're not starting from scratch, we're just going to put 1 layer down. Again, nice and thin. Let it really burn on and completely smoke off before you turn off the heat. Then let it cool, and your griddle should now be nice and smooth and a little more evened out in both color and texture. Doing this extra reseasoning step once or twice throughout the year, depending how much you cook on it, will really help keep your Blackstone looking nice.